All right, we are live on YouTube and Instagram, and I honestly wasn't planning to go live today, so I didn't tell anyone. We're just here impromptu, but I had something really important that I wanted to say, and so I figured I would just share it with you. So, I recently had this realization that for a lot of people, self help feels like a chore. It feels like a burden. It feels like something you have to do no matter whether or not you want to. It might be something that you feel resentful that you're doing it and the people around you aren't doing it, and you kind of wish everyone was doing it because then maybe it would be less of like a heavy thing that you have to carry. And I have definitely been in that place before. And so I want to just share a little bit of what helped me get out of this place because obviously, maybe this isn't obvious to all of you. I don't hate the self help industry. I am a life coach. I love the self help industry. I work in the self help industry, and I certainly don't do this out of a sense of obligation. But there was a period of my life where I felt like the things like therapy, reading self help books, um, participating in coaching, like being coached as a client, doing that kind of work was this burden that I had to carry, this like cross that I had to bear basically because I had experienced trauma in my life, because, you know, I didn't always have the healthiest upbringing, because of all these things. The story that I was going with was that, like, I'm so broken and I need to fix myself. And this might not be something that you're explicitly walking around saying to yourself. Like, you might not be actively identifying as a broken person, although there was a part of my life where I was actively identifying as a broken person. And so if that is you, I see you and there's nothing wrong with you, which is basically the point of this whole live stream that I wanted to share, is like there's actually nothing wrong with you. You're not a broken person. It's not that you are going through all these steps of like being coached and taking courses and reading books and going to therapy and doing all of this stuff because you're broken or because there's something wrong with you. What I want to invite you to do is reframe it. So we don't want to drop self help entirely, because I think that would be destructive. I think we all understand that, like, the people who don't show up and heal and, put effort in to changing their perspective, to reprocessing the past, to working towards their goals in a healthy, constructive, intentional way, like the people who don't put effort into that are people who perpetuate harm. And I think we can be honest about that. Like, it's definitely the healthy choice to do this work, but we want to do the healthy work in a healthy way. So, again, the solution is not to fire your therapist and your coaches and all these people. The solution is not to give up on self help and burn all your self help books in a giant bonfire and quit journaling and all of that stuff. But I do understand that it can feel heavy and that it can feel hard. And I remember specifically back in like 2019, I was actually on the phone with my mom and I was yelling and I was like, why am I the only one in the family doing all of this? Because it's like, basically, I was like, this is collective trauma that we all need to process from our own different lenses and from our own different perspectives. But at that point in time, I was the only one in my family who was in therapy doing the work. And since that time, my sister has started going to therapy. And this isn't really a story about my family, but all of this is to say I have definitely been in that place of, I'm doing it, no one else is doing it, and the reason I'm doing it is because everything is so messed up. And if we all did this, and if you all had done this sooner, and if you had done this when you were my age, then we wouldn't be in this boat now. And like, just a lot of like blame, resentment, and self-judgment going on surrounding the self-help work. And I will say honestly that when you come to the self-help world from that place, it makes it very hard to get the benefits of the work. And that's actually something that, like, I didn't realize until I was quite a few years in. And it's something that I always want to make sure I tell my clients, like, when you show up with a resentful energy, when you show up either feeling bad about yourself, like you're broken and you're a project and you need to be fixed, or feeling bad like you have been burdened with something that your family isn't doing or that your friends aren't doing, and that if only everyone else had done this work, then you wouldn't have to because they wouldn't have hurt you, and all of that. When you show up from this place, the mindset that you are in is not actually the mindset you need to be in order to get the most out of it, because you're showing up in a victim mentality. You're showing up as if, it's everyone else's fault. You're showing up as if it's your fault. You're showing up as if there is a problem. And I want to point this out too. And this isn't to say we should all be gaslighting ourselves and denying our own experiences. But if you're consistently processing your life in a way that leaves you feeling like life is just problem after problem after problem after problem, it is the healthy choice to process life differently. It is the healthy choice to get curious. Is there a different way that I could be seeing this? Is there another worldview, another belief system available to me that would help me process my life in a way that did not feel like problem after problem after problem after problem? Because once you do that, you start to find and notice that, and I've said this before, but I want to say it and make it like very, very plain. You process life according to your worldview. There are things that are hard and that are heavy in the world, but what you bring is your perspective on it. And you can view life as, these are lessons, these are opportunities for wisdom. I made some mistakes and now I'm wiser, or I made some mistakes and my life is ruined now. Like, those are two different perspectives that you could bring to the same exact situation. And the perspective that you bring matters the most, because if you view yourself as, I am wise now because I made these mistakes and I learned from them, what are you going to do? You're going to make different choices in the future. What are you going to do? You might take it upon yourself to help other people so that they don't make the same mistakes you did. I actually put out a post and sent out an email to my email list recently that was called My Number One Personal Development Mistake. Now, why did I do this? Because even though it was a mistake that I made and it was heavy and it was hard and it was a challenging situation, I don't want other people to make the same mistake that I did. And so I am using the mistake that I made to help other people. But if I was still stuck in, I made this mistake and now my life is ruined and everything is bad, I would not be teaching people. I wouldn't be helping anyone, and I wouldn't even be helping myself. And so all of this is to say, there are mindset shifts that need to happen before you can have a healthy relationship with personal development. It's really awesome that you're going to therapy and that you're reading all the books and that you're going to, coaching. I just had a notification, but we should be fine. It's really awesome that you're doing all this personal development stuff, but if you don't come to it from a healthy mindset, it will feel heavy, it will feel like a burden, and it will not actually move you forward in the way that you're hoping it will. So for example, let's say that you're doing personal development work because you want to heal a relationship that you're in. Maybe you want to heal your relationship with your family, which is something that one of the journeys that I went on in my personal development, path. So in healing your relationship with your family, if you come to it as, I'm broken, my family is broken, everyone sucks, and I suck, even if you read all the books and even if you do all the things, I was literally doing EMDR about this. I was going to therapy. I was processing with a coach. There would be a day in the week, it was Tuesdays, I remember specifically, where I would have therapy for an hour. And then right after that, I would have my coach for an hour. And it was just like a lot, right? It was a lot of processing that was happening as I was going on this like journey of healing my relationship with my family. But what really made the most difference was coming at it from a lens of unconditional love and like caring about myself and caring about them and wanting things to work out because I wanted us to be in harmony, not wanting us to work out because I thought everything was broken and I thought everything was like gone to hell. It's two different ways of approaching self-help. It's two different ways of approaching your personal development journey. And I want this live to be a little bit of like a permission slip today. Like, you can put down any way of processing your life and your story that leaves you feeling like it's just a bunch of problems and everything is ruined and everything has gone to hell. And now you might feel like you are some emergency rescue person who's under a ton of pressure to try to fix what's broken, when really you're just a lovable human being that's on a journey of loving yourself more and more every day. And as you go through it this way, loving yourself, loving the people around you, what you're going to find is that your personal development work gets so much easier. It gets so much easier. You'll notice the wins more and more as they happen because you won't be so convinced that there's a problem. And that's another thing that I wish more people talked about. But we have this parts of our brain called the reticular activating system, right? And that part of our brain filters out what's unimportant and focuses on what is important. And when we convince ourselves that our life is problem after problem and that we are a problem and that other people are a problem and that everything around us is this big project that needs to be fixed immediately, our brain filters life to agree with us. And so you won't even notice the progress that you're making. You won't even notice the wins that you're experiencing. And a good journal prompt after you watch this is to go ahead and write through, like, what are the wins I haven't even been acknowledging? What are the wins that I haven't even been noticing because I am so convinced that there is a problem? And I was actually talking to a client yesterday, and we spent the whole call celebrating wins. And I had to remind her that there was a period a few months prior where I had to actively advocate that she made a big deal out of things and that she let the wins take up space in her life. And then a few months later, she showed up to the call and she was like, can we just use this call to celebrate? Can we use this call to acknowledge all the different things that are happening that are good? Can we use this call to just experience joy and to celebrate the new clients showing up, to celebrate the way I'm feeling connected to my work, to celebrate all of these beautiful things? And I was like, of course we can. And I'm not saying that the point of personal development is to just be like one big party, but I am saying that it could be a lot more fun than you're letting it be right now. And what if you could make some changes that were simple changes, but that were like deep and meaningful and impactful changes, and that those changes would leave you enjoying the journey more? Because one of the things that matters most to me about any work that I ever do with anyone is that you enjoy the journey of doing the work. Oh, my nose is itchy. That happens sometimes when I'm like in the zone. I don't know why. Is that you would enjoy the journey of doing the work just as much as you enjoy the moment when you achieve your goals, the moment when everything comes together, the moment when, the thing that you've been working on finally comes to fruition. You get to be happy and experience joy every step of the way. It doesn't have to be this grueling, burdensome, heavy process for the sake of some big payoff at the end. This isn't one of those the ends justify the means type of situation. There's nothing Machiavellian happening here. This gets to be an experience of love and celebration and of joy and of making a deep impact and of really changing things. Like I feel like a lot of people struggle to really love themselves and to let themselves experience joy until, quote unquote, their big breakthrough moment or they get the outcome that they want, because there's this sense of like, well, if I'm happy now, what will my motivation be to keep going? If I love myself at this weight, what will my motivation be to lose weight? If I love myself with this amount of money, what will my motivation be to grow my income? If I love myself now, what will my motivation be to continue on? And the truth of the matter is, you don't ever have to. And I was going to say you should never, but it's not even so much that I want to give you a should, like a mandate. It's that I want to give you permission to do something else. You don't have to, you are not required in any way to approach your journey from a place of, I hate this and I am running from pain. And that is something that they actually teach in some segments of the personal development industry. And I'm not going to name names, but you may have seen these people before, where they will actually teach, twist the knife on how bad your life is now and focus on how painful it is and remind yourself of how much you hate it and remind yourself of all these problems and all these habits that you have that you want to break, and remind yourself of how bad everything is as a means to motivate yourself to change. I don't really believe that shame, pain, pressure, any of that is actually going to produce lasting change. I think it might encourage you to scramble and make changes from a state of emergency, but then the whole thing is unsustainable as soon as you feel at peace again. And I actually talked about this on one of my podcast episodes about timeline jumping, but the reason that some people really change their life, but then it's unsustainable, is that they were only coming at it from a place of trying to get emotional relief. And then once they get the emotional relief, they have no need for the circumstance anymore. And so they don't do the work to maintain it. Their only impetus for creating something new is that they're trying to get relief from something bad. And that is just a flawed way to do it. The psychologist Carl Rogers says, as soon as I accept myself, I can change. And that has truly been my story, is that when I've actually come at any journey, whether it's relational healing with my family, whether it is expanding my business, whether it is anything that I have done, weight loss, like physical transformation, anything, it has always worked when I come at it from a place of, I love myself in this current situation. I love myself no matter what situation I end up in. And I am choosing from a place of love to create the kinds of habits and be the kind of person and show up in the kinds of ways that I really want to. From a place of desire, from a place of joy, from a place of, wouldn't it be cool if I had this thing? Wouldn't it be cool if things shifted in this environment? Wouldn't it be cool if something was different? Wouldn't it be cool if something changed? But never from the place of like, if something doesn't change, then there's something wrong with me, or there's something wrong with life, or I'll never be okay until this changes. Because again, whatever change comes from that is ultimately unsustainable. And so I wasn't really planning to go live today. I don't want to be here for a super long time because I actually love going on my little afternoon walks, and I should have been, quote unquote, should have been on my walk 8 minutes ago. So I'm actually going to go ahead, take my afternoon walk, and then come back and do some more work. But I do want to leave you with the invitation to come hang out with me in person and get specific, tailored, very, oh my God, my phone is just telling me, to go on my walk. That's literally like exactly what I'm saying. But my You 2.0 retreat is coming up. And this is the place where you get deep one-on-one support with me and community support. We're going to be a group of 4 people. The retreat includes a 60-minute private session with me, and then a bunch of really deep, really beautiful, loving group activities to help you heal your relationship with self-help, heal your relationship with personal development, so that you can go on the journey of becoming that next version of yourself from a place of deep love and deep compassion. You are not a project. There is nothing wrong with you, and you don't need to approach your personal development journey from that place. You get to evolve, you get to transform, you get to grow in all of the ways that you're dreaming of growing, and you get to love yourself and your journey every step of the way. This is something that I am so proud to have helped my clients with. I even think about one client who told me that she went through this whole journey of loving and accepting her body as it was. That led her to want to show up differently in terms of moving her body more and making some changes to what she was putting into her body. And then that led her to lose weight. And she was telling me, now I'm losing weight and I'm conflicted about it because I did so much work to love my body before I had lost the weight. And of course, that's interesting because we get to then think about, is unconditional love really unconditional? And if it is unconditional, then that means you get to love your body no matter what it looks like or feels like or how much it weighs. Like, you get to love your body because you love your body. But I think it's always interesting that when we love ourselves more deeply, we also treat ourselves better and make choices in our best interest more and more and more and more. And then the natural outcome of that might be something that other people are pushing and forcing and just like pushing a boulder up a hill to try to get, meanwhile hating themselves the whole way through. And that just doesn't have to be our experience. So if you know that you want to make these kinds of shifts, and if you're feeling like, yes, this retreat is for me, I want to make these kinds of shifts, I want to work with Samara, I want to meet the other people, I want to spend a whole weekend immersed in that energy, And there are two things for you to be aware of, depending on when you're watching this. So on March 14th, which is tomorrow, I'm recording this on March 13th, I'm doing a retreat open house, which is just a group Q&A call where I'm taking questions and I'm sharing more about my vision for the retreat. And then on March 20th, the wait list for the retreat closes. And everyone on the wait list gets first dibs to the application and also gets $300 off the retreat. So if you're thinking that you might want to come on the retreat, getting on the wait list is definitely a good move. The retreat is over the summer, so there's definitely plenty of time for you to sit with this, but I want you to know there's something happening tomorrow, there's something happening next week, and just leave it at that and let you sit with it as it feels good to you. All right, I'm going to go on my walk before my phone interrupts us again with another notification. But I love you so much, and I can't wait to see some of you tomorrow at the retreat open house. I can't wait to see some of you at the retreat itself. And in any event, I'm just sending you all of the love and all of the compassion for yourself on your journey of personal development. You got this. Take good care. All right. Thanks, YouTube family. Love you so much.